I promised you a stress tip, and then we talked about something else, because we always will. If you have a question, we'll put other things to the side. But every Monday we have a stress tip, because we know that this is going to be stressful, right? There's just no two ways about it. And we know that personally, and statistics have borne it out. What I don't love is that the studies seem to show that as a result of that stress, that we leave ourselves open to more and more kinds of illnesses, and we don't want that, right? So stress has to become enemy number one, and we constantly want to be aware of and working towards getting ourselves not stress-free, right? I don't know that I could even, put that on the table. I don't think that's possible. If I was stress-free, I'd be a wet noodle and I couldn't accomplish anything. So I don't know that I even want that, but I want to be able to manage the stress. I want to be able to keep it in perspective, and I don't want, just like for my child, I don't want my child to be hampered by things that prevent him doing what he wants to do. Well, I don't want the stress to prevent me from doing what I have to do, and I'm sure that you feel the same way. And I will tell you very honestly that on this journey, I got to that point. I got to the point where the stress completely took over, overwhelmed me, and I couldn't leave my house. There was a good year when I couldn't drive my car, and I got help. I hope you don't have to get to that point. And my help, by the way, was cognitive behavior therapy, that in a very short period of time fixed things for me so that I got my life back and my child got his mom back. And I said at the time, I said, I can't do this because this is not helping my child. I always like to say mine is the cautionary tale, because I hope you don't have to get there. And what I want to talk about today is the necessity for downloading, that we all have to have a place to take the stress that's coming, right? It's realistic, and we don't want to poo-poo it and say, oh, it's all hearts, flowers, roses, right? Oh, my child has autism, but it's all going to be okay. You have to have a place to take the anger and the frustration and the fear and the disappointment and the grief and fling it someplace where you can walk away from it. And where that is, and I call that downloading, right? Because from time to time, the disk space gets too full, right? And we got to download someplace else, and we have to figure out where we're downloading that's safe for us. For some people, that might be a spouse or a partner. And I think that there's a certain amount of download that you need to be able to do with each other. But I think it's advisable for all of us to have a place beyond that, because otherwise too much of the relationship becomes about that, right? So finding the place for you that's safe, that you can do things. So many of you blog, and I love that. It's productive. It helps other parents. By the way, you don't have to blog and have it be public. You can keep there are free services online. There's Blogger and there's WordPress, where you can go in, and as you're setting up the blog, there's a place where you can check, is this public or is this private? And I know some people who blog extensively and keep a lovely record of what's going on, and they just vomit on the page. Nobody ever sees it, but it's there, and it's a place to be gotten rid of it. Now, you could also do that in a notebook, but the notebook somebody could pick up at some point, and that may not be your best thing. But writing for me is a wonderful, wonderful place to download. And I know for a lot of you and we've had more and more bloggers, and we want to have bloggers on the show. So if you're blogging and you want us to feature your blog, please write to us and tell us, because we'll be happy to get you on the show to talk about your blog and what it is that you're doing. I love to read the blogs, because there's something cathartic about that for me when I see somebody else who's really mad about something and goes, what is with this? And I think, oh, that's true. I've been offended by that or ticked off by that, but never to the point where I was going to write about it. Just reading it is a download for me to go, oh, I'm not the only one. See, I'm not as hypersensitive as I think I am sometimes. So whether it's that you're writing the blogs or reading the blogs, I do think that it has the ability to be a download. But I think also, being mindful, and as I'm saying this, I'm thinking about this for myself as well, that we have to be mindful that whatever we're doing to download does not make it worse, right? So, if it's that your download is having a glass of wine at night. You know, a glass of wine at night, as long as, you know, you can handle a glass of wine, is perfectly acceptable. But there have been so many parents along the way who will tell you that that glass of wine becomes 2 glasses of wine and 3 glasses of wine, and you don't want to create more problems, right? Or even if it's something else besides wine, you want it, whether it's food or other people or, you know, whatever it is, make sure that whatever you're using to download is not counterproductive. We all have to be aware of that. How we manage our stress works for us instead of against us. Picking, if you're going to download to a person, that it's somebody that you can give your information to in a safe way, and you know that it's going to be kept safe and it's not going to come back at you. And if that means that it needs to be a professional person, there are times when your insurance or a local place will donate time sometimes. That isn't always the case, but you can look into that so that you have a professional person to bounce things off on. But taking that time, finding the time to have a place to say, we can't keep it bottled up. There are negative things to say. Even if it's that you create another persona on Facebook and that you can, comment and say things anonymously, but give yourself some kind of an outlet. For some people, some of the more positive things besides writing, I know people who run to get it out, to just get it out, and even cry while they're running, but then they come back and it's like, okay, I have cleansed that and I can face the day. Some people who meditate, whether it's, there have been times when I got so stressed out, and for me, sometimes it's hard for me to just sit down and be calm. And so I started making earrings. In fact, I think I'm wearing a pair that I made now because it kept my hands busy and it was creative and I could sit there and do that. And for me, that was a stress download, something that I could do that didn't have anything to do with autism. I could focus on it, make a pair of earrings in a half an hour and say, okay, I did this. And it allowed me to be someplace else for that half hour mentally, someplace that wasn't incredibly taxing. So finding yourself a place and a time and even an activity that gives you a break. You need a break. I flew over the weekend. I'm not a good flyer. It's something that's really stressful to me, and I can feel in my back that I need to be doing some stretches because I held so much tension while I was on the plane for so many hours. And it reminds me of the years that we were doing autism, and sometimes I was so tense physically for so long. It's not good for us. We have to be able to have times where we go, oh, okay, nothing is happening right now. I get a break. I've said before, from time to time, somebody will write in and say, if I could just have a break from autism for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour. We all need to have that. And it's difficult. And I know for some of you, the circumstances are such that you feel like it's impossible. Don't give up, because in some cases there is funding for respite, or you can just say to a really close friend, occasionally I need 10 minutes. And you would be surprised at what 10 minutes can do for you. We all need it. I know. Then you get the 10 minutes and you think, oh, I really could use an hour. Oh, I could really use a week. But take what you can, because we do all need to have that download. Find the safe place, the safe way. I have a friend who drums. She's got this lovely little drum, and she will sit down and just pound on the drum, and it gets it out for her. I have friends who sing and dance, and that's what gets it out. Whatever it is for you. Another friend who screams into her pillow. Sometimes you just need to. So download it. Don't hold it inside. It's not good for you.